like a little bit to kind of reward you. And then all of a sudden, what begins to happen is the same consistent pace that you are going at, because you never stop, starts to produce more water. And the water starts coming out faster. But what are you doing? You're not pumping any faster. You are continuing to pump because your suction has happened, and now you've gained momentum. And so now your business just naturally starts to flow with new customers and new coaches, because you literally never stop that consistent pace. It's not about like how fast can you pump that well. The water's not going to come out any faster, right? You're just going to burn out. But it's about having that consistent cadence. And it's like the flywheel effect too. The same thing. Once you get that energy and momentum going, it doesn't stop. So in all of that, there are a lot of things that happen. Burnout, right? You get burnt out, you get bored, life happens, you get married, we have kids, our kids get sick, our husband, has to go away for work, we have marriage issues, we have kid troubles, like life happens, right? Things are going to happen within your business because it is just life. And one of the things that I have realized as I've gone through the past 7 years of my business is I've watched other people let their life mess their cadence. And that really is like the momentum crusher. And so a couple of things that have really helped me. And so, for example, I had to have surgery. It was my first year that I was a 2-star diamond coach, and I had to have surgery. I had a really bad hernia. I had really bad diastasis from having the kids, and I was in a lot of pain, and I had to have surgery, which meant I couldn't work out for 8 weeks. And all I could think in the back of my mind was, oh my gosh, like 8 weeks, what am I going to do with my business? And also a week before I went in for my surgery, my dad had a brain aneurysm. And he was on life support, and he was in the ICU. And then my brother got married, and he missed my brother's wedding. And all of this happened within a 2-week time frame. My dad, my brother getting married, and then my surgery. Most people would literally shut down and would just stop working their business for that time frame. They would let that be an excuse. And I can just remember saying, I can't change the situation that's happening right now. I can't change what's going on with my dad, but I sure can show up, and I can sit in his hospital room, and I can bring my laptop, and when he is sleeping, I can do my business. And literally 8 hours a day, he was sleeping and I was working. And when he would wake up, I would tend to his needs, and then I would go back to work. And I just think about that became my safe place. My team and the coaches that were in my organization at that time, they were the ones that kept me going. I was like, all right, I can control helping people. I can sweat when I come home from the hospital, right? I can do my workout. And then the day I went in for surgery, after I came home, I had a couple of days of recovery, and I literally couldn't move for 8 weeks. I was like sitting in a chair. Somebody else had to come and take care of my kids, and I bought the Car Smart Chalene Johnson DVD series, and I listened to every single DVD while I laid in bed and took notes. And then I just laid with my laptop and I typed. That month was the month that I hit like the most ridiculous number of Success Club points, all because I just couldn't move. Like I couldn't move. And so instead of letting that be an excuse, I talked about nutrition. I talked about my superfoods. I pulled old motivational like pictures of myself and put motivational quotes on it. I didn't talk a lot about fitness, but I was still talking about nutrition and the journey and being healthy. And so I think a lot of times we don't show up when it gets hard, or we don't show up when life happens, or when we don't feel our best. And that is the momentum killer. But instead, it can actually be your momentum builder. And it literally is a mindset shift that I had to make, that I had to work on every single day, saying like, I know that this is hard, but I'm going to do it anyways. And so through those times, those rough times is where I really leaned into the community. I leaned into the team, and I leaned into where we were at, and I really saw this massive growth begin to happen. But I think too, and I was talking about like mindset with our Rising Stars group this morning, and this one thing that we think, and I was listening to a Tony Robbins video. It's called The Power. I'm going to tell you what it is because it was really, really good. Fix Your Focus. It's by Tony Robbins, and it says how you think more clearly. And I was listening to that YouTube video, and in there he was also talking about mindset. You may be sitting here right now and saying like, gosh, this business is hard. gosh, getting to diamond is hard. Gosh, getting to 1-star or elite, I don't know if I can do it. That's going to be so hard. But instead of focusing on what's hard, if you change the narrative in your mind and say, I can totally do it. It's actually going to be really easy. I just need to find, 12 people that want to do this with me and I'll be a diamond coach, right? And so if you change the narrative from it's hard to I can do this, it's actually really easy. And you just make a list of people and you start inviting them instead of thinking about it, you'll actually, it'll just be something that you do and then you'll teach people to do it too. So for example, this kind of relates to that. Maura Kasaba was on our Push to Diamond call the other day. And when she said that, she just got to 7-star, I was like, wow. And it's literally because she just said that's what I'm expected to do. And so if you begin to kind of have that narrative with yourself, this is just what I'm going to do and there is no other option, you will actually achieve whatever it is that you believe. And so one of the examples was that Tony Robbins used was, have you ever had a splitting headache and all you could think about was how horrible your headache was? And then your best friend calls you up and she says to you, oh my gosh, I have this horrible issue and this is what's going on. Can you help me? Can you come watch my kids? Can you, pick up this from the grocery store? And you're like, absolutely. And you go and you do all these things. And then later in the day, you're like, oh, my headache went away. And it was because your focus wasn't focused on what was wrong with you. Your focus was on something else. And so learning to put your focus in the direction of where you want to go versus what is going wrong or what you're having trouble with. And that staying in your own lane, that putting your blinders on, that training yourself to kind of catch yourself when you go into that negative spiral is another big piece of the puzzle. So for me, in this process of pumping the well, being consistent, taking me 9 months to get to diamond, I was watching people rank advance faster than me. I was watching my upline and my star diamond upline making 3 times as much money as I was. I can remember every Thursday in our message thread, they would post how much money they were making. And it really bothered me because I felt like I deserved to be further along than I was. I felt like I deserved to be making more money than them because I felt like I was working harder. And so I had to keep saying to myself, be consistent, Melanie, stay in your own lane. Put your blinders on. It doesn't matter what they're doing. Their story is not yours. And so I learned from that point forward to I stopped participating in the message thread. I unfollowed all of the top coaches that when I would look at their page, it would make me anxious. So I stopped going there. I stopped looking at what they were doing every single day. And I learned to put my blinders on and stay in my own lane. And what happened is I would say to myself, Melanie, what can you do today that is going to be better than you did yesterday? How can you one-up yourself instead of one-upping another coach in the organization? And when I started to do it that way, other people were like, wow, Melanie, you're really doing amazing things. You're really duplicating systems. You're really helping your coaches. People are advancing. What are you doing? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm just doing my job. And it was because I was staying in my own lane. And I stopped. The minute I stopped comparing myself and I started running my own race was the minute that my business took off. And still to this day, I get very anxious when I start to compare myself to others, when I start to look at other people's Success Club points, when I start to see people in the round table rank advancing, and I get anxious because I think I'm not doing enough. And I have to redirect myself and stay in my own lane. And so I've learned to go into groups like the champions page. I've learned to go into our team pages or, the round table when you're a 5-star, you have access to that. I've learned to go in, look for a specific piece of information and get out. I've learned to sort of filter it. So I'm not on every call. I don't participate in all the threads. I don't check into the groups every day. I've learned to go in, get what I want and get out. I do the same thing when I listen to other leaders speak on team calls. We have all these great leaders that come in and do guest calls for us. And I think to myself, man, I could let the fact that they're getting 200 Success Club points a month really distract me. And I could go down that rabbit hole and I could start comparing myself. And what's that going to do? I'm going to waste 20 minutes, bantering back and forth with another coach as to why I think that person's getting Success Club 200 when instead I should just go invite more people. And so I've learned to say, okay, out of what this person said, I don't want to change my whole strategy, but what could make me a better coach? What could I pull from there that could just enhance the services that I already provide? what's working, what isn't working, what slight millimeter shift can I make, and then I move forward. And I get in this process of, implementing, reevaluating, asking for people's feedback, readjusting, and trying again. And I just go through this process of constantly implement, evaluate, readjust, and implement again, and staying in my own lane and really focusing on that consistency has really helped me. And the last really big thing that has truly helped me was this vision. This concept of vision. When you're a Beachbody coach and you start your business, you are a Beachbody coach for life. Like, you bleed blue, and you love everything about the business, and you love the fitness, you love the nutrition, you love rank advancing, you love getting to Diamond, Star Diamond, Emerald, or Elite, Premier. Like, there's that push at the beginning, earning your Success Club trips. But eventually you're going to get to a point where you've achieved a lot of those things, right? And the one thing for me, or like maybe you go through a lull where you're struggling to get to the next level. And the biggest thing for me was making sure that I always remembered what the bigger picture was. Why am I actually a coach? What is the bigger vision? And I always say to myself that I do this so that I can pay it forward to other people. And so I want you to kind of say to yourself, is it contribution? Do you love seeing other people succeed? What is the bigger purpose? Beachbody is a vehicle to open up other opportunities. And that, I didn't see that at first, but now every time I do a live video, every time I put a social media post out there, every time I'm like teaching people how to build a business, I think about the fact that I've been able to accomplish great accolades. How do I contribute back to society? How do I, go and give back to others? And so now I feel like my calling is to actually kind of, help other people see their fullest potential. So is Beachbody a stepping stone for you to be a public speaker, to create online training courses, to have the money to travel the world and, take your family with you? Like, what is your motivation that is deeper than a rank, than a Success Club point, than a paycheck in your bank account? Like, really think about what is your bigger purpose and have that written down. And it will actually change at each season of your business. Right now, it might be getting to 5-star Diamond and Elite. It might be qualifying for the Success Club trip. But there's a deeper purpose. It might be, if I am an elite coach, then it's significance to me. It is recognition. It is, that's a symbol of, I feel like I am successful in this business. For me, achieving the Success Club trip my first year was a symbol for me that I contributed to our family, and I was taking us on a paid vacation that we would not be able to afford if it wasn't for this business. That was the fulfillment, came from seeing my kids' faces, from showing my husband like, hey, proved you wrong, I could actually do that, right? But once I achieved that goal, it was like, what's next? I never got stuck in like stagnant where I was at. It was always like, what is the next step in the business? And then I would set my next goal for myself too. So think about that. Your bigger vision, your business right now is like, each step is a stepping stone to other opportunities. All right. So, and then the last thing is just future planning. So, for right now, you are in like the peak of Beachbody season. So for those of you that haven't been around for a couple of years, there's this ebb and flow to the business. So January, hot time of the year. Everybody wants to set, New Year's resolutions. Everybody wants to get in shape. Like, that's just what we do. But then what happens, did you guys notice February and March and maybe a little bit of April? Did it get quiet? Or you like, oh my God, it's like pulling teeth, to get people to sign up. And so you sort of notice there's this little downward slope. And then we had 2B Mindset that just launched. We're going to have Lift 4. And so now, and we have spring. So this is the momentum building season that we're in right now. So you're going to notice April, May, June, and July, and part of August. This is your momentum building season. What happens then in August, September, and October, it starts to go back down again where people get a little bit more quiet. So if there is ever a time to build momentum and to 10x, and I like to say like 20x your business, it is literally right now, because you can create momentum through 2B Mindset. And I think ahead. I'm already thinking like 6 months from now, if I get as many people as I can to do 2B Mindset, And I don't just sign them up with the challenge pack and tell them to figure it out. But if I really dig in and help these people get an incredible transformation, and then I teach them how to share their story on social media, they're most likely going to become coaches, or they're going to refer customers to me. But I'm just not going to stop at 5. Like, it's May 4th, and it doesn't matter how many Success Club points you have right now. There's a lot of month left. And so I'm going to groom these people all month long in their transformation, because that is going to give me credibility that I can share on social media. It's going to help me get more customers, and hopefully I'll be able to transition them into coaches. So that's my main focus. Then I know that Lift 4 will come out in July. So everybody that's going through 2B Mindset that maybe hasn't worked out yet, or doesn't want to work out, or is just focusing on nutrition, that's a 4-day-a-week workout program. That is an easy transition for people to start doing fitness with their 2B Mindset. There's my another momentum builder. Hopefully in this process, I'll sign those people up as coaches. Then I'll have Lift 4. That'll be another boost in my business. There'll be a coach test group. It'll give me an opportunity to get people signed up as coaches. By the middle of July, by the end of July, if you time it right, you could literally be most of the way to your goal if you 20x your business right now. And then what happens is, as you continue to get results, and because you're pumping this well ever so vigorously, even though the trend may get a little slower during the winter months and the holidays when people are a little distracted, you will have created a cadence that will sustain you through the slow months. But if you don't lean into the time right now and say, like, this is the time to run, this is the time to be on fire, you're going to pay for it come October, November, and December. All right. And that's the one thing that I think, as a business owner, is you can't just live for the day that you're in right now. You have to be able to look 6 weeks, 6 months down the road and say, how are the decisions I'm going to make today going to affect my business tomorrow? And everything I do today is going to take me about 4 to 5 weeks before I see the fruits of those labors, right? So those are just some of the future planning things that really become important to helping you create your momentum. And then I like to rest during the holiday season. So you know what? Because it's slow during the holidays, I try to secure everything now so that I can say, all right, Melanie, regroup, set your goals for 2019. Reflect on how things went. Enjoy your family. You don't have to grind between Christmas and New Year's, because you did the hard work now and you created that cadence in the process. All right. So you're at such a critical point in your business that it just is you can explode if you choose to, or you can choose to stay where you're at. And I really feel like you've got Megan, and you're probably going to explode, because I'm sure she's going to drive you guys forward regardless. So, I just think that those are some of the key things that have helped me. And I know that there's a lot of other little things that are in there. So if you have questions or want me to kind of elaborate on that, I would be happy to do that for you.
Thank you. Yeah,
sure.
We're so happy to have you talk with us. I was referred to as a consistency queen, because we all know that consistency does pay off. So,
right.
Any questions, anything you want to ask her?
Can I ask a question, Melanie? My name's
Sure.
I get in a spot where I worry that I'm using up all of my people. Does that make sense to you? Oh, I don't know if I should sign up 15 people this month, because what if they were thinking about it for next month and then I don't have any people? What would you say is the best way to grow my contact group so that I can sort of snuff that out?
Yeah.
And make sure that I am consistently adding new prospects to my
list.
You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. So I think first thing is that's definitely a scarcity mindset, right? So even if you just say, you're Google how to get out of a scarcity mindset, or how to stop a scarcity mindset, do some personal development in that area. And there's always great articles that pop up, or even great YouTube videos that will show up. And I'm sure John Maxwell has a chapter on that in a book, because I think that's where I've heard he's talked about that quite a bit. But that was something that I struggled with at first. I just wanted to get my 10 people, and then I was oh, I'll wait to the first of the next month, and then I'll sign up these customers. And then what would happen is people would back out, and then they wouldn't sign up, and I'd lose that sale. So that was number one, is I was like, if I don't sign them up now, so I created my own sense of urgency. And then what I said to myself was, okay, how do I make sure that doesn't happen? So things that you can do are, number one, I'm always asking my current customers for referrals. So that's number one. I've created, like, I'll tag the coaches or customers in the challenge, like the transformation photo, or I used to recognize my challengers all the time on my public Facebook page, and I would tag them. And so what would happen is all their friends would see it, and their friends would start commenting or liking. And I like trolled the comments and I trolled the likes. And every time I saw like a friend of a friend, I would friend request them, right? So that was kind of number one. So I always followed my likes and my comments. The second thing is I never stopped building my following. So on Facebook, it was like constant, every single day, adding new people. So everything, and then I would say to myself, okay, how do I get people to engage in this? Because if people share my post, now it's going to be shared into their following. And so that's how it drove me to make content. How do I get people to share this? How do I get people to view this? How do I get people to interact? Because when you get interaction, more people see it. There's more likes that you can go through, more people you can friend request. So that was number one. The second thing too is, like, I would go to everybody's Facebook friends. I went to Matt's Facebook, my husband, and I was like, okay, who am I not connected to? And every day I would add a couple more people from his list, my mom, my brother, my best friend, right? That is not a part of Beachbody. I would, everywhere that I could possibly go to grow that friends list, I went. And then on Instagram, I started to really focus on my hashtags. I would search hashtags, and I just would make it a point to make sure that I was adding a minimum of 10 people every single day, whether it was Instagram or Facebook. And then I paired that with creating content that elicited a response so that I had things to work off of. So I think if you stay in that zone, you'll be fine. And then the quality of service that you provide, if you are an amazing coach and you are in your challenge groups and you are supporting your customers and they're getting results and they're going to share it with other people, like, you will get repeat customers and they will give referrals because you're awesome at what you do. So don't try to stay out of the new signups, but think about, how do I keep the people that I have now as repeats over and over and over again? So that's kind of the second part of that.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions? Anything. It can be on anything.
So, since you're so high up, do you still get a lot of people signed up underneath you, or do you just focus on your people under you, on your coaches? Like,
do I still recruit and sign up customers?
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, I do. And the reason is because there's no guarantee that your people will stay forever, right? And so I just know that in order to maintain what I've built, that I still spend my time used to be like 90% my personal business, 10% my team. And now I reserve like 20% for my personal business, 80% for my team. And so first thing in the morning, I still send out my invites. I still do my posts. I run sneak peeks, because my team's not going to duplicate me if I'm not doing it too. So I try to be the leader that leads by example. And in order for me to continue to hit elite and in order for me to be a part of the top 10, I have to have new growth year after year. It's like, you can't just stay in the top 10 based on what you did your first year as a coach. So it looks different. And again, I've built the momentum so people come to me. So it's a lot less of me doing invites and it's a lot more of me responding to applications because I worked so hard to get it to be that way. So it looks different. The work looks different now.
I have a question.
Sure.
What is a tactful way, since we have such an amazing coach, who's also my daughter.
Aww.
You do. You're approached by somebody that actually is in the Beachbody under a different coach and is getting no results, and you can see them, their spirit is dwindling.
Mm-hmm.
What's a tactful way to say, hey, maybe you need to find somebody that inspires you I mean, I don't want to ill will with anybody else out there, but yet I don't want this person to lose hope.
Yeah. Yeah. So the person has told you they're not getting support. You know, so this is what I always tell people is I just say, like, have you ever considered like switching coaches? Like, if you feel like you're not getting support, number one, have you reached out to the upline, the person above that person, to see if they will help you? So I always say that first, like, go up through the chain of command. If you still aren't getting an answer and people aren't plugging you in, you have a couple of options. You can cancel your coach account if you want, and you can be a customer and wait 6 months and then re-sign back up again if you want to become a coach. And so at that point, that person, if they choose, they can cancel their coach account, they can switch their coach to you, they can become your customer, but they have to wait that 6 months and be a customer before they can sign back up again. They can go to compliance and they can talk to compliance. Compliance would essentially, if that coach says, I'm not providing any support, I'm not building my business, they would move that coach to the Star Diamond upline is what they would do. They won't grant like access to be moved to another organization either. So those are really your options.
So to add on to that, so basically like if that one coach, like she signed the schools up or whatever, and then she just kind of disappeared, but yet she's still technically coaching, they have to cancel their coach account to be able to move then.
Yes, correct. Yeah. If they're going to, if coach relations or compliance is going to say, I'll move you to your upline, they're not going to cancel you. In that case, you would move up and everything would stay the same. But if you were going to say, I'm going to go from the dream team and I'm going to go to this organization, you would lose all your customers, all your coaches, and it would all go to your upline and you would move on.
I have a question. So since we have like some of our our rock stars are here, like that's why they're here, they qualified. Yeah. How do we as leaders continue to cast like that vision? I mean, I know like we share it with our team, we share like, what our team vision is for the end of the year, but I feel like I struggle with like how many times to like reiterate the vision or how many times to share or like ways to get it to your team, because, for like an Emerald coach, we're over here thinking like, you have so much potential, but like without, I don't know, like scaring them, I guess, but still like giving them that little like push too, because they have.
Right. I think success stories have always been really helpful to me personally. So seeing like, as I was going through the process, like seeing Emerald coaches share their success stories of what they were doing, on team calls. I think sharing a new Diamond success story, how they got there, sharing income progression, so it's not always relatable. I'm so far removed from a new Diamond status. It's better sometimes for leaders to hear from those people that are doing what like are closer in relationship. So I think that has always been helpful. Anytime I ask my coaches to share, it inspires the team. Sharing that vision every time you go live, every time you do have a team call, this is why we're doing what we're doing, and just talking about it. And I think just that, like, this is a together thing. It is not a Megan thing. It is not a Melanie's thing. Like, Melanie's not the top coach. It's like, guys, we're the top team. And because we're the top team, we get access to X, Y, and Z. Because I'm on the coach advisory board, we get access to X. Like, actually, when you're sharing your vision, it's like, guys, if we become an elite team, we get access to trainings and resources that other teams don't get. It's going to help everybody grow. We're going to be a stronger organization because of it, and so I always have approached it that way, is like, we are the elite team. We are the top team. This is what we're going to get because of it. And then I always like to celebrate. So that's why we do a retreat. That's why we do like the big January party to celebrate where we're at as an organization. It's because I want people to know that like they contributed to that. It wasn't just me. And then the other thing too is just educating people on how we're getting these points. Like, I can't even tell you how much people were like, I help you get there. And I'm like, yes, like every time a 2017 and 2018 coach hits Success Club, you're earning points for our team that is going to be in the top. And they're like, I want to be a part of that. So there was one time where I actually broke down like what it means to be number one and like what the, like how we get these points and who's contributing, because a lot of the new coaches didn't realize that they actually were the deciding factors, you know, and so they were like, oh, who am I? I'm just this peon that just started, you know, 2 months ago. I'm like, no. Like you matter. Like what you do actually really shapes who we become in this organization. So talking about that, sharing with them, you know, what it means to you, what the future opportunities, and then I like to also say, like, this is my vision as a leader. Here's how I want to support you. Here are the resources I want to create for you. Here's what I want to see. Like, I want to see you succeed because I know what it feels like to leave my job or pay off that debt, and I want to help you get there too. And I know that getting there means that we have to accomplish these steps along the way.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have a question.
Sure.
I've been doing this for almost 2.5 years now, and I coach full time now. So what's your advice for unplugging? And like, because I have the time, so it could be super easy, and I get excited and we have huge team goals and huge vision. It's super easy to just want to keep working and not take that unplugged time, even though I know I need it. But you also know, like, the harder you work, you can have the mindset of the harder you work, the faster you'll get there. But I mean, just with the pump analogy, I was like, okay, the faster I pump, it's not going to come out any faster. But what's your kind of advice and standpoint on that?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I love to work. I mean, I love my job, and I could easily work 24/7 because I genuinely love what I do. But so I think the answer is a couple of parts. Number one, there's a season of push and there's a season of rest. So, you know, when I was kind of explaining the calendar and how the calendar goes, this is the push season, you know. So within this time frame, I am going to be super disciplined, and I am going to really be kind of saying, like, all right, I'm not going to take a nap today, or I'm not going to go to the mall today, or I just don't have time to get, you know, I don't know, my nails done. I don't know, I'm just thinking of things, right? So like I think about those things, and I say to myself, this is the season of push. And so within this push season, I still have unplugged times. So I still will say to myself, my kids are at school from 8 until 3:50. The bulk of what I need to get done, important, has to get done during that time. And I'm constantly saying, like, am I wasting time? Am I doing activities that are giving me the biggest return on my investment, right? So I'm focused on that. So I'm trying really hard to stick to that. And then I will come back and I'll work at night a little bit more. But by the time I get to the end of the week, I have these like pockets of unplugged time where I put my phone away. Saturdays, Sundays, like Friday nights, Saturday morning, I'll get up and do a little work, but the rest of the day is kind of me. And I leave some of those weekend pockets where it is just family time. And that's like the weekend when it's quiet on social is when I plan those fun things, like go get my nails done or go shopping or go ride bikes with the kids. Or so I just say to myself, when is the most appropriate time to take a rest? And it's always based on what the social media trends are and when my team is engaged, right? So like a Sunday night, you better believe I'm sitting at my computer because I know that that's literally the start of the work week. But on a Thursday night or Fridays, like it's quieter. So that's when I allow myself to have a little bit more downtime. We had a launch on Wednesday. I was like, I didn't leave my computer for 10 hours on Wednesday. That was a sacrifice because it was a launch day, right? So there are times that you kind of have to give and take. But then during the holidays, it's really quiet. It's like eerily quiet. And I say to myself, don't let that freak you out, Melanie. Actually enjoy this time. Like this is your time to recharge your batteries. So there's a season of push and then there's a season of rest. And it's all, and the business actually naturally gives you that season. And I just lean into that.
Thank you.
So yeah. And then what'd you say?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, be purposeful about your end time. So if you, like, it's the end of the day, or you say to your husband, like, we're going to have a date night on Thursday, honor that and make sure that you are disciplined enough to say like, I put it away and actually turn it off, or don't, like I used to say, let's just do date night another night. We're just going to watch a movie on the couch, you know? And so I've learned to say, no, he needs this time as much as I do. I need to make this a priority. And so for me, it's easy to work. It's harder for me to do all the other stuff, and I have to work at that.
Okay, so real quick, I know that Matt wasn't like super on board at the beginning, and I have a lot of coaches who like their hubbies just aren't there yet, or like they're supportive but they're like cautious, yeah. And so like I know my husband was the same way, but I think hearing it from somebody else might help too, just like tips of like understanding it's not just your business, but it's like your family's business, you know, like just sharing that piece. Do you have any like quick tips on that for some of our
I would say did just
yeah.
Hang on. Maybe you guys hit me real quick and see if that works. I don't know why. Okay, is that better?
Yeah.
Better? Yeah. Okay. Oh, it started again. Let's see if that works. Okay. I don't know why it's doing that. All right. So I would say the biggest tip is don't push your spouse to do anything with the business. Matt is so bullheaded that if I were to say, you have to work out with me, you have to drink Shakeology, or I need you to be a part of my business. Like, you've got to message people for me or help me. Like, he just shuts me out completely. He actually goes the opposite way the more I try to force it. So my approach was, how does Matt, like, what's his love language? How's he going to respond? And so I knew that in order for me to get him on board, I was going to have to, number one, show him the money. So I was going to have to prove that this was worth it. And so, but that didn't come easily. That was an 18-month, like, issue. And so I, again, had to like put my blinders on and ignore the negative jabs that he was throwing at me, and the fact that he like would not get the kids a bath and put them to bed if I had a call, that he would intentionally let them come in the room screaming when I was trying to do a team call. Like, he literally self-sabotaged my business. And as frustrating as it was, I couldn't let that shake me. And I just had to prove to him that I could make this work. And so I did. So I was very, like, when I said I'm going in my office, I went in my office and I worked. I wasn't scrolling the news feed. I mean, I was producing income because I knew that if I didn't sell those challenge packs, eventually I wasn't going to get his support, right? So that was kind of point number one. Two, couldn't push him and I had to work hard. And then I shared my goals with Matt. So it was my first 6 months. And I remember saying, my goal is to pay for our Christmas presents this year with my Beachbody money. And so I like made myself a little graph and I said, $500 is what I'm going to earn. And I was so focused on $500 on getting like, and I just was like constant working at that every free second to add to it, because I wanted to be able to say, here you go, pay off the Christmas credit card with my Beachbody money. Like, that gave me satisfaction. And then that was a connector for him to say, okay, she set a goal and she accomplished it, and it added to our family. So that was kind of like, I got a little credibility with him after that. And then I kept doing that. I would say, all right, I'm going to be an elite coach this year. That's my goal. If I become elite, it means that I'm going to get this bonus every single month. If I'm, 5-star, I also get the quarterly bonus. We're also going to get to earn this and this. So I actually told him that what the goal meant and how it was going to impact our family financially. And then I said, I'm going to need a little help with it, because like, I'm going to need you to help with the kids. And so then I started to get a little more buy-in, because I was creating credibility along the way, because I was sharing my goals with him. So it wasn't easy, but I kept having to share that. And then the last thing was events. And Megan, you know this, like the husbands getting together and golfing. Matt, the first summit that we went to, he was very skeptical. I made him go. I actually threatened him that if he called it a pyramid scheme while we were at Summit to other corporate people, that I was going to make him go home on a plane by himself. And I think he drank every single day. He just was like, I don't care. I don't even know why I'm here. Like, this is stupid, but the first day we were in Vegas, we were in the pool, and all the husbands, I was meeting all these coaches for the first time that I had admired and looked up to. And the husbands were in the pool together, and they just started talking to one another. And they started talking about, oh, you're your wife's on the computer all the time. But then they started talking about income, and this is what your wife, and I heard your wife's really good, and, you know, and just give it some time. This is where she'll be next year. And like, this is what he was like, you know, and so Matt's like, yeah, whatever, you know, that's BS, you know. He really just like, but he started to form friendships with these guys, and he started to realize that the business was real. He came to the general session at Summit, listened to Carl speak about vision, about the company, about the products, about where we're going, and his business brain kicked in, and all the pieces started to come together. And so I'm so glad that as uncomfortable as it was to make him go to that event, I'm glad he went, because that formed the relationships. And now every time we go to events, we have friends that we look forward to hanging out with. We compare the journey of where we're at, you know, and now his role is to help other husbands that maybe struggle, because he knows that literally that was a game changer in our relationship. So those are some of my tips for you. I know we're still muted, but.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I ask one more?
Sure.
Yes, I like your question. Okay. So I have had, I don't want to call them naysayers, but maybe they're just sort of, they're concerned about my future and my family's future. And they say, honestly, Beth, where do you see this in, 20 years? Can this be your full-time job? I guess, where do you see it going for you in the next, do you see it taking you to retirement, and how do you see it doing that?
Good question. So I always look at the naysayer, because I always look at the source, because I think that's a really important thing, you know, to look at who is saying that to you. Are they somebody that's entrepreneurial minded? So for example, when we told Matt's mom and dad that Matt was going to quit his job and that he was going to be a stay-at-home dad and we were going to live off my income, my mother-in-law at the dinner table said in front of my whole family, "What, are you going to be Melanie's bitch now?" Yeah, not kidding. And I was like, I don't know what to say. I started to sweat, and Matt came back and he was like, "No, Mom, like, we've gone to the financial planner and we've talked about it, and, you know, this is a smart decision." And my father-in-law, he is business minded. So he was like, you know, maybe a little concerned, but was more open to the opportunity, right? My mom and dad are like, "You do whatever you want. I believe in you. You'll figure it out," right? So but for me, it was like I had to prove myself to them. And it wasn't until they came to Summit themselves and saw the magnitude of the business that they understood. And then just as financially as we started to do better. So I think part of the naysayers are literally people that just aren't entrepreneurial minded. Because a business owner, I say to myself, I don't know where I'll be in 20 years from now, but I sure as heck know that I have developed the skills to build a business anywhere, right? Like I feel confident enough to say that, like, if Beachbody goes away tomorrow, we have saved, we have lived within, well below our means. We have no debt. Like, if you're looking at this as a true way to prepare for your retirement, you are not out there buying the fanciest things, the fanciest cars, buying things yeah, sure, you might be able to afford them, but save for your retirement. Pay off all of your debt. Don't have a mortgage, right? You know, make sure you've got your kids' college fund set up. Like, use your Beachbody business to create that freedom for yourself, and then develop the skills, because what's going to happen is if you rock this job, you will know how to lead a team. You will know how to build a social media business. And so other opportunities are going to come about. So I don't know where I'm going to be 5 years from now, but I believe in what I'm doing. And I believe that I'm on the right path, and doors will open because I continue to evolve and change and grow and be a smart business owner. So that's the way I look at it.
Okay. Mic drop.
Yeah, right.
That kind of made me tear up.
I cried a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Like, and I think about it. I just think about, like, okay, really 4 years of like freaking grinding is kind of what happened. That's what I did, right? And I think in 4 years, we have no debt, and my kids can go to college and we don't ever have to worry about it. I'm great. I can get a part-time job and I'm happy. Like, I can live, like, so I think about, like, work hard, prepare, be smart, and where will you be, you know? So just remember that it's just, there's so much opportunity.
Yeah. I love that. Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
We appreciate
All right, guys. What'd you say?